Sewing doll clothes is a time-honored tradition. Moms, grandmas, sisters, and even dads take pride in sewing for a special little girl and her doll. Often there aren't any patterns, just guesswork, but guessing isn't needed since I've invited nationally known doll pattern designer Joan Hines to be our guest on Sewing with Nancy. Welcome back, Joan.
Well, hi, Nancy. I'm glad to be back with you. Make-believe play is so important for kids of all ages. I enjoy designing doll clothes that foster imagination. With that in mind, let's begin with a fairy princess costume for your little girl's doll. A fancy fabric, sparkly trim, and a little sewing savvy are all that's needed.
Doll Fashion Studio, that's what's coming up next on Sewing with Nancy.
Sewing with Nancy, celebrating 30 years of sewing and quilting with Nancy Zieman, is made possible by Baby Lock, a complete line of sewing, quilting, and embroidery machines and sergers. Baby Lock, for the love of sewing. Madeira, specializing in embroidery, quilting, and special effects threads because creativity is never black and white. Koala Studios, fine sewing furniture custom built in America. Clover, makers of sewing, knitting, quilting, and embroidery products for over 25 years. Experience the Clover difference. Amazing designs and Class A needles.
As Joan mentioned, the Fairy Princess is our first doll outfit to share with you. And this may seem complicated, but it just has multiple layers.
That's right. This fairy princess costume, or just for Halloween, or you can use it any time of the year.
Yes.
Little girls love to dress up. It has many components to it, and one of them is this gathered skirt. It has a netting or tulle over satin, and it's has a variegated mix of colors, so it makes it a lot
of gathering is done here, and the trim, sparkly trim, doesn't take a lot of trim, and we'll have an open in the back, so it's closed with hook and loop tape, so it makes it easy on, easy off. And the skirting fabric, we have it in a different color, but you have satin and tulle.
Right, and this tulle has the variegation, which you can see better in this sample, and you would need to cut a length of that for your skirt. Maybe you want to make it a little bit wider than the satin part of the skirt because it'll be more full. But what you need to do is to finish all the edges, mainly because they fray so much. You need to be sure and do the top as well. And you are going to finish the 3 sides of the satin by pressing at 1/4 inch and stitching, and then you're going to lay the tulle on top, and this will be attached all at once.
And it'll be gathered all at once as well. And we like to gather by zigzagging over a cord when you have, or thread. And the easiest way we like to do this, here you can see a close-up, is that I'm taking 1 stitch and then drawing up the bobbin thread. And that bobbin thread loop, I'm going to pull as long as the length of the fabric that I need to gather. And then set your machine for a zigzag and zigzag over the bobbin thread. And Joan, one of the reasons I like that, you can't pull out the bobbin thread.
That's right, it's already attached here at the beginning, so all you need to do is to find your thread at the very end. I've gone ahead and marked this skirt into quarters so that when we pull up the threads, you're able to gauge how to attach it to the bodice. I'll take this pin out here, and you can see that I can just pull it like so. And I can spread those gathers all the way back to the beginning.
Sure. So a great thing for doll clothes, or really any other gathering. If you joined us in the first program, you realized that we lined the tops of all doll clothes, and that's the way Joan designed them. And rather than cutting itty-bitty facings, it's a lot faster.
Definitely.
So here you've suggested that we apply the trim, and then you can just use big, wide zigzags to put it on, but the seams should be secure.
Yes.
Very secure, shoulder seams. We have the lining and the outer fabric, and you meet right sides together. I guess I have it upside down. There we go.
There you are.
Right sides together, and we're going to sew the curves, so the neckline and the armholes, just with 1/4 inch seam allowances, and that's what this sample shows. The 1/4 inch seams, and you'd use matching thread. In the neckline, in the other finished samples, we reinforced the curve, or the corner, I should say, because you're going to clip. Anytime you
Right.
have an inner cord, just clip to that corner and restitch it. Now, the center back needs to be sewn, and so we did the wrap corner technique that we've done on Sewing with Nancy so often before. It's after sewing one of the seams, then you fold the fabric along the stitching line. You can see the stitching line is right on the fold, and then we'll pin it, and then you'd stitch the side seam, and that's what we've done on this side. Joan, the longest task of this process is now to turn this right side out.
Right. It looks like it won't work, but you can make it.
It took us about 3 minutes to pull it right side out. So this is half of it that's been pressed. You can see that nice sharp corner. We just then would press the other part of it. And if you've never worked with satin before, this is a good time to practice because you're on small pieces and you just kind of finger press it out and work around the edges. And what hasn't been sewn are the underarm seams. So you press a little bit more carefully than I'm doing. And we're going to do some virtual sewing right now. And that is, this is a great technique to open up the lining, to open up the garment, and sew that total underarm seam of both pieces.
I like that so much because all the raw edges are enclosed.
They're enclosed. And through the magic of samples, you know, we always have to have lots of samples. The underarm seam was attached, and we attached the peplum. So you can see we have a finished back. It's lined, great for little girls taking the garments on and off a lot. And then
the next step is to attach the skirt, and if we had pulled this all the way, we'd have a lot of gathering, and then you would stitch the skirt, the right side of the skirt to the right side. You would start here to the right side of the bodice and pin it, and you would stitch, and then when you open it up, the skirt's attached.
And let's take a look at the little girl's dress, and then another option.
This one for the...
Yes, the little girl's dress, and we can see how it's finished in the back, finished in the front, and the last step is to attach the skirt to the top, as we mentioned, and it's all enclosed and ready for play. A doll can have team spirit as long as she's dressed for the occasion. Joan's cheerleader doll outfit in 2 pieces has all the details of a big girls ensemble without all of the work. You'll have as much fun creating the 2-piece outfit as your little girl will have when playing. Throughout this 2-part series, you'll find that many of the same techniques are used over and over again, especially in the outfits. And Joan, the top part is made just almost the same way as we made the bodice for the princess outfit.
Exactly. It does have a lined bodice, and the side seams are sewn together.
But this has two-tone, but without the work.
Right.
So instead of having a seam diagonally across the top of this top for the little girl, Joan simply has cut another layer of fabric. You overlaid it on top of the blue bodice, left that there, and then applied the trim. And we'll show the trim, how that's applied when we do the skirt. But that's how simple it can be. It doesn't have to be a lot of work. Now the skirt has a few other little details that are akin to doll making.
Right. This skirt has 3 pleats in the side, and the pattern piece that you have has them marked at the top, and you're going to just make 3 folds of fabric. You're going to take the first marking on the inside, and you're going to fold it over to the next one, and you're going to insert a pin. And you will keep doing that, so you'll have 3 more pleats, just like this, and I've got them basted at the top. And you'll take them and baste them, and then you're going to press the pleats in the fabric. The next step then is to sew it to the back piece, and we have a seam right here, and then you need to finish the lower edge. And all I did was serge it, and then I turned it to the inside and stitched it.
You know, straight stitching, serging, and zigzagging are really all you need for this process. It's great. Then the trim, use a little paperback fusible web cut in the narrow strips, and we can Press that down.
Press it, and we'll take it over to the iron here. And I did have it started, so I'll press just a
There's
little
a
bit.
paper backing that should be there while you're pressing.
And now it's fused to the skirt, and then you take just simply some ribbon and you can place that over, and then you press that on, and it is attached. You can stitch it if you like. It's just an extra step.
And really, I think stitching it would be a great idea. The waistband is put on, and we've saved a little time by drawing the elastic, starting that elastic through the casing, simple little casing that we turned under. And you can use a bodkin to thread that through, and here it comes out. And then you have the back of the skirt that has the elastic. So it's really a fast technique. So you can apply trim, you can overlay fabric. You don't have to make it difficult at all when you're working with this little outfit. Now, one of the 20 garments that you have when you design the book that goes with the pattern, you have the book that goes with the television program. You made it so a skirt had more pleats.
Right, it just has a little top to it that's flat, and then an entirely pleated skirt, and then the blouse is attached, and it does have a lining to it, and then snaps are applied underneath these buttons, so no tiny little buttonholes are needed.
So I think this is a great doll making tip, and that is you don't sew buttonholes in doll clothes.
Right, right.
That's something that's certainly not needed. Just sew the doll buttons on top and then the snaps underneath. So a variation of the theme, but all the techniques are simple and streamline them as much as possible. When it's make-believe winter in the playroom, a doll can be dressed for the elements. A jacket, pants, cap, and mittens are what every play mom needs for her doll. I know you'll find sewing the small accessories are as much fun as sewing the actual doll clothes. When I saw this outfit, Joan, that you made, I thought, this is adorable. And when I saw how easy the mittens and the little cap are to create, I know that this is a perfect project for beginner sewers or experienced sewers as well.
Well, great. Thank you, Nancy. It was a lot of fun to make. I will show you what the pattern piece looks like for the cap to start with, and it looks very strange. But this is a one-piece cap, and with the sweatshirt fleece, I needed a lining, so I chose a contrasting color. So you need a lining and the cap, and then the center back seam is what you need to stitch, and you need to stitch that in both pieces, the lining and the cap. And once that's done, the next step is to make the ties, and all I did was find some cording and attach pom-poms.
So that's at the long part. You put them in the right sides together.
Right. So you would pin this here. I've got a little extra because it's frayed, and I would make sure that that's pinned securely before I put in the lining. And then the next step is to go to the lower seam here.
After you've met right sides together.
Correct.
The lining to the outer cap.
Right, and that's stitched there.
So the lower edge is stitched, and on this sample we have it turned right side out, and I think you can kind of get to see the shape of that little cap, but you made it fun.
Right, you can make any face that you want. I wanted a little kitty cat, so I have felt ears, and then I stitched on by hand some buttons for the eyes.
And because these are doll clothes, you know, you can kind of cheat on seams. You don't have to have it finished so well. Maybe just a secure seam is what's needed. So the last seam to stitch, and let me get it to look a little bit better, but is the crown of the cap.
Correct.
And when you turn it right side out, and of course if you've added all of the little elements, this is the way it looks. It couldn't be too much cuter than this.
That's right.
Now the mittens. The mitten pattern is really very simple. It's just a mitten shape, and then you've sewn just a portion of it.
And the reason you do that is so that you can open it up to lay it out to stitch the ribbing on. That would be next to be impossible if it wasn't.
So in the first program we showed you how the cuff is attached to the ribbing, and you can rewatch that program online or on the DVD if you'd like, and you zigzag or serge across the edge, and then you simply open the cuff up, and you sew on the face if you wanted to at this point, and then just sew the rest of it. Now, Joan, you not only can you use a lined fabric for the hat, but look at this. This is
I did
adorable.
another project here, and this is a dog face, and it's with fleece fabric, so there's no finishing here. You take the same pattern piece, but cut off the lower seam allowance, and then create a face, and you can see I have fleece ears, and the mittens are the same with the felt nose.
These really are adorable.
So you can make many of them.
So accessories for doll clothes are easy to make, as you can see. You can add personality to fit your child's interests, and with just a little bit of sewing. For your little sweetheart, create an outfit for her doll that shows your love. You'll only need a small amount of fabric to make great impact when sewing doll clothes. This design features a heart pocket, just the right size to hold doll-sized valentines. Well, Joan, this outfit has fun contrast, has details that may seem difficult to sew, but really they're not.
No, not at all. The bodice simply has overlays of fabric, and the backs here are cut out, and then I have the overlays in the contrasting fabric, and you just simply apply them here, and there's no need to finish that seam if you just take a zigzag stitch. There's contrasting thread here, but if you used pink, it would blend right in, and you're all set to go.
Just zigzag around the edge, and you simply leave the back fabric right where it is. So what a great way of adding a fun trim. Speaking of trim, the lower hemline has the trim, and it hems the dress all in one step.
Right, this is simply 2 lengths of fabric. I do have a band at the bottom of the skirt.
And it's double.
And it's double fabric, correct. And I took the band and pressed it in half, and then right sides together. I have the skirts where I stitch it to the lower edge, and then you press it out, and it's all complete, ready to be gathered up.
Now we're just showing you one example in this Valentine dress of what can be done, but here's another one of Joan's designs, and you can see that same hemline treatment in a different fabric and a different style. You can change your doll clothes designs just the way you could change big girl fashions. Accessories, I think some of your small little details that you've added really help make this look fun and interesting to work with. And the little heart-shaped pockets were 2 fabrics that were cut the same size, sewn together with an opening left along the side. And because these are all curves, and to turn this right side out, just rather than grading, just use a decorative blade on a pinking shears or rotary cutter, and then turn it right side out. And our next sample shows that it has been turned right side out, and the seam that has been left open.
Right, you just press it to the inside,
Tuck it in.
and then when you attach it to the dress, you're going to stitch over that seam.
So here that seam has been caught in the top stitching, and when I reach inside, there's a Valentine for the doll. Great accessories.
Right.
Well, Joan, thank you for joining us on the sewing segments of these last 2 programs. You have fun ideas, great looking designs, and it doesn't take a lot of work to do the sewing of the doll clothes.
Great, thank you, Nancy. It was a lot of fun to be here.
And I hope that you will sew these with a straight stitch, a serger, and then perhaps have a little person sew along right with you. What a great way for her to learn to sew. Sewing, straight stitching on a band or stitching on the ribbing, it's very easy to do. So sewing doll clothes, great fun for girls our size and little girls too. In 2008, today's Nancy's Corner guest made a decision to donate 1 quilt for every 10 quilts that she made. Her tithing of quilts sparked others to join her quest to supply children, newborns to teens, with warmth and love. Sew for Hope founder Cynthia Seiler joins us via Skype. Welcome to Sewing with Nancy, Cynthia.
Thank you, Nancy. Thank you for having me as your guest today.
Oh, it's a treat. And one of the reasons I wanted to interview you and have our viewers hear your story is that you do have a compelling story how you decided to sew and give away your quilts.
Well, I decided that as a quilter that I would like to give every 10th quilt that I make to charity. I sent out an email letting everybody know what I wanted to do. I was contacted by Hope Community and informed as to how much need there really is in the community, that at any given time there are 20 to 30 children living at the Hope Community Shelter.
And you're in Tallahassee.
I am in Tallahassee. So I decided at that time, that's when I made the clear mission. I wanted every child who stays at Hope Community to receive a handmade blanket. And I knew I couldn't do that by myself, so I needed help. So once again, I relied on email to get the word out that this is what I wanted to do, and I needed help to do that. And so at the first meeting we had, there were only 3 of us, me and 2 friends, were at Hope Community in their cafeteria where we meet once a month. And donations of Afghans, a sewing machine came in that was donated. I had a stack of fleece blankets to give away. And the only thing that we really made at that first meeting was a fleece blanket.
Well, you certainly have gone further than that, because I think you made a note to me that you've made over 600 blankets or had them donated.
We're up to 723 blankets now. And of those, 395 are handmade quilts and 125 are handmade Afghans.
And because you service children from preemies to teenagers, you take all various sizes of quilts.
Yes, we don't have a standard size or any restrictions. Anywhere from 17 inches to 22 inches for a preemie, all the way up to long twin size. An 18-year-old boy needs a bigger quilt.
One of the interesting things you told me when we talked earlier, Cynthia, was that it was easy to start a charity, which you did after you started your initial quest.
Yes, I found that just by having a clear mission statement and letting people know what we needed, I've always just let people know what we needed, whether it was batting, juvenile or novelty quilting fabric, volunteers to take home laundry or ironing, people to come at the community work days to cut fabric and make kits to give out to other volunteers. And by staying in constant contact through email, just letting people know what we're doing.
And this is such an interesting thing because it's not a closed sewing group. You encourage sewing levels of all interests, from pressing to doing the stitching.
Exactly. We're not a closed sit and stitch. I consider us as a community organization. People of all skill levels, whether they can sew or not, all ages are welcome to come and participate. When we meet once a month at Hope Community, the residents are invited to come and participate. We'll teach basic sewing skills. We also do knitting and crochet. We'll give them the supplies they need to make whatever it is they want for their own children and grandchildren.
Well, Sew for Hope is a needed organization in your area, and you've done so much for them, as well as I know it's been helpful for you and all the workers. It's a very gratifying thing.
It is. It feels really good. The other thing that we do is we take quilts that were started by mothers and grandmothers that for whatever reason were never finished. We take those and we finish them and we put them in the hands of needy children. And that feels really good, to get that finished, to complete that circle of giving.
Well, Cynthia, thank you for being our guest on Sewing with Nancy. It's been a pleasure. If you'd like more information on Sew for Hope or any of the other Nancy's Corner guests that we've had, or if you'd like to rewatch this program, you can go to nancyzieman.com and find all things Sewing with Nancy at that website. This wraps up our two-part series on Doll Fashion Studio, where Joan Hines has joined me, showing all these great doll outfits, easy sewing techniques. I know you'll enjoy making them as much as I will. Thanks for joining me. Bye for now.
Joan Hines has written a fully illustrated book entitled Doll Fashion Studio that serves as the reference for this two-part series. It's $15.99 plus shipping and handling. To order the book, call 800-336-8373 or visit our website at sewingwithnancy.com/2622. Order item number V6715, Doll Fashion Studio, credit card orders only. To pay by check or money order, call the number on the screen for details. Visit Nancy's website at nancyzieman.com to see additional episodes, Nancy's blog, and more. Sewing with Nancy, celebrating 30 years of sewing and quilting with Nancy Zieman, has been brought to you by Baby Lock, Madeira Threads, Koala Studios, Clover, Amazing Designs and Class A Needles. Closed captioning funding provided by Oliso. Sewing with Nancy is a co-production of Nancy Zieman Productions and Wisconsin Public Television.